Hey guys, it's Nana, and today I'm going to talk to you about a book that I read recently in January, which also came out in January, and that's The Expatriates by Janice Y.K. Lee. So I'd read her previous novel, The Piano Teacher, and I remember enjoying that one. So when I found this in the half-price new books section of the Strand, which is an amazing section, half-priced new books. New books that are half-priced. Anyway, if you're ever in the Strand, go down to the basement, ask someone where the half-price new book section is because there are always gems in there. I saw this one in that section a few weeks before it actually came out, and I snatched it up, and it was one of the first books I read in January. So this is about 3 American women who are expats living in Hong Kong. There is Margaret, who has recently dealt with a traumatic event in her life. There's Hillary, whose marriage is kind of on the rocks, and also she's trying really hard to become a mother. And then there's Mercy, who is a 20-something trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. I thought this was a really beautiful and quiet novel. I mean, this isn't a novel in which a bunch of things are happening and it's really like action-packed. It's very like calm and subtle and quiet and beautifully written. I think Lee did a really good job of writing the characters in particular. Very early on, I had a distinct sense of who each woman was, and unlike the girl on the train, I could tell them apart. These were 3 separate women with 3 distinct personalities, and Margaret is the perfect one. She has it all: beautiful children, a beautiful husband, and everyone envies her life, basically. Hillary is kind of like a socialite in a sense, and you know, she has a lot of like friends and acquaintances, but below the surface level she really feels that something is missing in her life. And then Mercy is the Columbia grad who has, after finishing college, just kind of wandered and moved aimlessly from place to place, and she really doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. So I found the descriptions of Expat Life so fascinating, particularly in Hong Kong, because it's somewhere I've never been to but would like to go to. Just lots of interesting observations. So the expats often come over for jobs, and sometimes they're there for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. But the author describes how they stay within very specific circles. There's not a lot of mingling between the expats and the locals, and they've kind of created their own separate community. And within that community, there are different circles, like, you know, the moms whose kids go to this particular school, or the tennis club people. So there are different kind of cliques within the expat community, which is interesting. She also describes class differences. There are the younger expats who are kind of like the young college grads, basically. So when they move over, they're kind of poor and, you know, they live in a certain area, and then there are the people who are more middle class and have been there for a while, and then there are the rich expats. And of course, contrasted with all of that, there are the local people. The interactions between the expats and the locals that the author describes are really interesting. In this case, these are American expats, and in the book they often talk down to locals and kind of feel that they run the place, you know, when of course this is these people's homes that these Americans have come into. There's one particularly interesting scene wherein Hillary brings her friend named Olivia, who is born and raised in Hong Kong. She brings her to an expat party, and at this expat party, Olivia is a foreigner and the expats are not. So there's a role reversal there, which I thought was really fascinating. Even though many of the expats are living in Hong Kong for years and years, they often view their situation as temporary, and the author describes how it's common for them to go back. Like Hong Kong is just a phase, and at some point they're going to get back to their real life. So it mentions this on the flap, so I can say a little bit about it without being spoilery, but Margaret in particular has to deal with a traumatic event, and the author shows how she does and doesn't cope with that situation. The author says something really interesting along the lines of, when disaster strikes, we think, oh, that's so terrible, that's so horrible, and we're concerned for a little bit, but then we move on and are just glad that it's not our own tragedy. But then when tragedy does actually strike us, we don't know what to do or how to deal. I think definitely the setting was the most interesting part for me. Getting a glimpse into the lives of these expats and seeing how they live, how they interact with the systems that are already in place, I found really fascinating. I don't know, I always wanted to live in a different country for like a year or two or so. You know, it's not for everyone, and that's described in the book. The people, you know, who can't handle the differences and can't handle the change and have to go back. Anyway, if anyone is an expat themselves and has read this book, I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear if any of the experiences matched your own, or if you thought she did a good job capturing that life, the expat life in a certain sense. I thought it was beautifully written, a very interesting perspective and look into these lives, and I would recommend it. Love to hear your thoughts on this book if you've read it or if you want to read it. If you want to talk to me elsewhere, I am on Twitter, Goodreads, Instagram. I will leave all of my links down below. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!